Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, The Single Life. Let's watch.
Want sex. My estrogen levels are back up. And now that I've been celibate for 2.5 years, I'm like, okay, well, I think enough is enough. I want to be young and spread my legs wide open.
Okay, so she's talking about how during her treatment, she was having her hormones were being affected, which can absolutely affect your psyche and your motivations, your moods. So you could have, difficult moods during those kinds of treatments for sure, and just the terror of having that kind of, disease, as she was calling it. But two, not always, but one of the things that can help us to feel the motivation to deal with someone's BS, you're dating someone and they're exhibiting some kind of barrier to the relationship. One of the things that can really smooth things over is sexual attraction. You're like, when you're sexually attracted to someone, it'll kind of erase, you'll put aside your complaints about someone. And also when you bond physically, it can help to contextualize the conflict and on a foundation of intimacy and closeness. Every relationship doesn't need that. There's certainly asexual relationships that don't involve that much. Not that they don't cuddle or anything, but but sex can be a facilitator of both helping us get through conflict and also helping us recover from conflict. And so maybe for Stephanie, now that she has her libido back, maybe it will help in that way, and we'll see a result of that.
She came over to my house. We did a photo shoot for my social media.
That's nice.
We ended up taking a bath together. You guys want to see the video? Actually, I'm really
Yeah. Oh, that's hot. I'm impressed.
Good.
So I'm slightly concerned that she filmed it selfie style, her first foray into sexuality. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not one of those people that shames people for taking selfies. I mean, as an Asian American, I've taken my fair share of selfies and pictures of food. But given everything that we know about her, and given her I think according to her, bifurcation of her personality between her online personality and her real personality, concerns me. I would have wished, now maybe it was fine, but if I were her friend, I'd be like, just enjoy having, getting together with someone. Don't think about filming or what you're going to show to other people. That I wonder what that is about.
And she's my sex coach.
We talked about this before over the Zoom. You were going to break your celibacy, right?
Okay, so Stephanie is hiring the services of a sex wellness guide. So I'm guessing that is a uncertified profession in Connecticut, I think is where she's at right now. And it's fine, but understand that people with these labels as a profession, they're unlike people in my field who have certain criteria that they have to fulfill in order to call themselves a therapist or a psychologist. And they also have licenses by the state, which can be taken away if they act unethically or harm other people. So, having said that, there are plenty of guides and coaches that can be very helpful, but it's sort of buyer beware, essentially, because you just don't really know what you're going to get. Literally any of you, including me, by the way, well, I won't get into that, but any of you could just say, I'm a sex wellness coach. I am a, life coach guide person. Anyone can say that. So when you consider that, you're like, anyone can say that? Like without any credentials or any kind of training or any kind of competence? And the answer is yes. Things are changing in the coaching world. They're trying to formalize that a little bit, which, might be a good thing, might not be a good thing. But anyway, let's see how this goes.
Most of my clients are not as young, but I think that sexual dysfunction can happen to anyone. What you're looking for is a very authentic, real connection.
Yeah.
And now we need to figure out what the next step is.
Okay, so something that we don't usually get is we have a cast member going to a professional of some kind of talk help nature, whether it's therapy or coaching or guidance. We don't usually get the goal, but we just got the goal. So the goal is that Stephanie wants to find a connection, and it also sounds like she wants to further her sexual life. And so they're saying, okay, what's the next step? Okay, let's hear what they develop here.
I think it could have gone even further than the bath, but then I chickened out and it didn't.
When you say you chickened out, what happened?
I get to the point and I feel confident, and then like somewhere along the way, I like lose my mojo. I start getting in my head.
Okay, so this is good. A good guidance from the guide. I think that Stephanie's saying, I was with a woman and we were taking a bath and things are going really well, and then something happened and I just didn't want it to continue. And instead of making assumptions, the guide says, what happened there? You know, to tell me what happened in that moment. That's a very good question that I might ask. And Stephanie says that there was this moment where all of a sudden I got in my head, I lost my mojo, I got uncomfortable, and the guide is nodding her head saying, yeah, that happens to people. And it does, particularly, there's so many different factors. One, when you're first dating someone, you don't really know them very well, and so that can happen. Two, sometimes it just happens. Like you're just like, oh, I'm out of the mood. I don't know what happened there. Or you got what you wanted. You know, you got some cuddling in a bathtub, and that you're done. You know we have this often heteronormative pathway to the beginning, middle, and ending of sex, and it's very male centered, by the way. And if we don't do that, then we're like, it was incomplete. And it's like, no, there's lots of ways to have a complete interaction physically with someone. And with a lot of people that I work with that present with issues similar to Stephanie, that's one thing we really have to evaluate and push out the door, is this notion of what's a proper sexual encounter. And because especially if there's some bumps in the road around that, it's important to allow yourself to just say, like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I want to hold that person. I don't know for how long. I don't know what else I want to do with that person. I know I want to have some fun with that person. I know I want to interact with that person physically and spiritually and maybe talking. But to impose this success versus failure model on it can really get up into your head and really put massive brakes on the libido, because you're just like, I'm failing right now, and break, instead of, seems to be going this direction. I wonder what will happen there. I'm not going to put any and a lot of that has to do with communication between you and your partner. You have to be like, I don't know, I don't have a goal for this interaction, or my interactions with you. I just kind of want to relax and let it kind of take its course, and is that okay with you? And having a lot of trust in that process. And, maybe you just cuddle for an hour. Maybe you do something else. Maybe you phase in and out of things. Having that flexibility is really important. The other factor here is, I think she's been through some tough times sexually. And so that obviously can cause you to feel like, oh no, is that going to happen again? I don't know if that's the case. The other thing is just awkwardness, newness. I haven't done this in a while. She was literally filming it at the time, so that could get into your head. But let's see how the conversation develops here.
And I freak out.
When someone tries to be physically affectionate with me, I kind of go into panic mode. I start to wonder, oh my gosh, are they enjoying this? When they feel my leg, like, is it good? Like, have I shaved? Is it smooth? Does it feel nice? Are they looking at my stretch marks? Like, I just start going crazy in my head.
Okay, so this explains what she was saying earlier when she was talking about doing the position and people looking at her certain body part. That was the tip of the iceberg, if you will, on this issue of lots of anxiety, lots of insecurity, lots of body shame. She's saying, is my leg, what's happening? Is my body presentable? Am I disgusting, or am I okay for this person? And that points to traumas. That points to negative experiences. That's just my guess. Sometimes we can have negative experiences with people in general, non-sexual, and they translate into insecurities and freaking out in one's mind while you're having sex. But, something's going on there with her. She has talked about feeling like she's defective. She has talked about being insecure. And I'm really proud of her in this moment that she's able to take responsibility. There have been other times when she will kind of blame other people. She'll be like, yeah, that person was not good in bed. But, if you're experiencing this as Stephanie, it's going to be hard for anyone to sync up with that, right? And to accommodate that, right? So, not to say that she hasn't been with bad partners, but I suspected there was something going on with her as well, at least. And she's taking responsibility for that. And that's great. That's the first step to getting better. It's like, okay, boy, there's something going on with me when I'm having, intimacy with people. I have thoughts and anxieties. I get up in my head. I start obsessing on things. That's what we want to target. That's what we want to treat.
Yeah, I don't ever really let my wall down and fully enjoy the experience. I've never enjoyed sex.
Yeah, I think she might have said something like that during the Barzal. At least she gave hints of that. And I've treated so many people like this, and a lot of people. And this is great because this is educating the public that this is a thing. There's plenty of people, men, regardless of gender. Plenty of people have reported they've never enjoyed it. They've had a lot of sex in the past. They haven't enjoyed a single moment of it. There's so much shame in that. It's like, well, what's wrong with you? Like, let it go. And you're a lump on a log, or there's just so much shame around this. And it's never in the rom-coms. The reality of sex is so much more varied and fraught often that people realize. And so it is very common that I will hear from a client when we get on this topic that they will say something like this. They will say, another question I might ask someone is, on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being completely relaxed and 10 being totally distressed and anxious, what's the lowest number you've ever been while having sex? And the people will say, like, oh, the lowest I've been maybe on the perfect moment, I was a 4. And it's like, whoa, and to them, that's normal. They're like, well, isn't everyone freaking out, or isn't that just my lot in life? And it's like, no, like, we can work on this and bring that down. You deserve to be a 1. Sexual encounters are supposed to be relaxing and enhancing and joyful and pleasurable and safe and, anxiety free. You're not supposed to be insecure. I understand why you are, but you deserve to not be insecure. Not supposed to. That's a terrible way of putting it. You deserve to recover from whatever whatever traumas you went through, so that you can feel completely comfortable during sexual interactions. You might not always feel comfortable, but you deserve, majority of the time, just feeling like you can trust people, that your body is okay, that your partner loves you and takes care of you, and that they don't think bad thoughts about you, and they love you just the way that you are. And it doesn't matter if things go a little weird or a little off, the rails, and things end early or things go this direction. They're okay with that. You're okay with it. You deserve all those things. But when you have relational traumas in general, and you don't trust people in general, which I think is true for Stephanie, she might have even said something like that, then it makes it really hard. Because to trust someone in a relationship, to have a conversation, for many of us, that's one level of trust. To trust someone in bed, especially when you have some hangups and some worries, that is a high level of trust. You have to really be able to, bank on someone's love and care of you, and that they're not going to think bad thoughts about you. So, yeah. No, I think it's good to, I don't think we've come across this particular topic while doing this reaction series.
Stephanie, everything you're feeling is okay. It's okay to feel that way. I have some homework. This is workout for better sex. Kegels are
Like scrunching your vagina?
yeah.
So first off, great that she's like, everything you're feeling is okay. I wish she would have gone more into that. Excuse me. But she's not a therapist, so maybe, that's not really her role or something. Kegels, yeah, fine. But it's not, I don't think it's going to help her with her insecurities and her trust issues and her body dysmorphia and shame. And, maybe it'll be some sort of placebo effect or something, give her something to do. But hopefully there's other exercises she has for her. And I will say that there's a risk of this intervention coming across like you have to be a proper woman with a proper thing, and in order to be that proper you have to exercise that thing instead of you being okay with who you are. You know what I mean? Anyway, am I reading into it?
How can you tell?
So the way that you know when you're sitting on the toilet and you are urinating, you stop the flow of urine. So remember what that feels like, and then do it at a count of 5. 4, 5. I'm doing it right now.
Me too. Yes.
Yes. So pelvic floor.
I mean, I could see it helping Stephanie to get in touch with her body. She seemed to be like, oh, I've never done that before. And it's helping her to normalize her body a little bit and to get comfortable with it. So maybe that's the effect that she's going for.
Get nice and strong. It will intensify your orgasms.
I'm definitely going to do this.
So this one's way more important. I want you to make a self-love video.
So she also said it would intensify her pleasure, which, could have that effect. Maybe it always has that effect. And then she also says, I want you to make a video. Okay. I wish this went in a different direction, honestly, of just like communication, evaluating the thoughts that you have. Like, it sounds like some of the thoughts that are running through your mind are not helpful. How maybe going to therapy to work on some traumas that you went through. I think she did go to therapy, but anyway, these exercises I seem kind of just like general exercises you would give anyone, and not necessarily, targeting Stephanie's particular issues.
I want you to seduce yourself. I want you to touch yourself. This is going to help you identify what you want, what feels good. Okay? Okay. When you watch the video, you'll see how you respond to certain touches. And then you're basically making a blueprint for your future partner.
Okay, it's not bad advice, but I don't know if that's Stephanie's problem. I don't know if that addresses her issue. From what I understand, people have commented or emailed me saying that Stephanie does make videos like this and probably already kind of knows. So I don't know if this is novel information, but maybe it is. Again, maybe it's just general help of getting in touch with your body, being okay with your body, stepping into your sexual space. Maybe it'll help. I could see it helping. It's not bad advice. I just worry that Stephanie is going to leave with these things to do, but she'll still run into what she reported, which is while engaged in intimacy, physical intimacy, she starts to have all these worries, like what's going on here, and none of these things will address that, but maybe they will.
Yeah, this just feels a little weird.
I know it's hard, but you have to make this a priority because the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to break your celibacy. Abstaining from sex for that long just makes it harder and harder to get back to it.
I don't know about that one. I mean, on a certain level, there's some intuition there, right? Of like, if you wait 25 years, it would be really hard to start up again. But with Debbie, she hadn't had sex in 13 years because her husband died 13 years ago. She, jumped right back on that horse right away. She said it didn't go well because he told her to shut up, but it wasn't a hard transition for her. I think that this kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say this to someone that it's like, you better act now or else it's going to get really bad in the future. it puts a lot of pressure on someone. They're like, oh crap, like I'm losing it. Now, maybe the guide intuits like, I think Stephanie needs a little push, and she'll thank me when I give her a little push. Maybe that's what's happening.
My celibacy, I can't keep just like burying these problems and avoiding having sex.
All right, thank you, Ashley.
I don't know if I necessarily know what I'm doing. Is it like riding a bike that you just get back on and you just know what to do? I don't know. And I'm like very terrified that.
So, and if someone told that to me, I'd say that's the wrong way to be thinking about it. It is not like riding a bike. It's nothing like riding a bike. It's like having a conversation. That's what it's like. Riding a bike implies there's like this mechanical thing that you have to follow, and failure is falling off the bike. Having a conversation, we all understand, like sometimes you flub things, but you pick back up where you left off, or you make up for it. Like, oh, I said something stupid there. Or that was a awkward silence that we just had, and you keep going. It's a conversation. It's a thing that involves, it's a dance. That's another way, but it's like dancing very easily, like tango dancing, where you're really like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do, anyway. So that's what I would tell her. It's just like, just take it easy, take your time and do what you want. And that's a big, because she seems to be very other focused. She seems to be like, how are they seeing me? What are they seeing on me? Am I screwing things up? What if I mess it up? Now she has a light heart about it. So maybe she's just like talking things and then she's just going to proceed forward and, fumble her way through it the way everyone does. But, there's what I would do with her is I'd say, what do you want? What do you want? The next time you're with someone, ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want to do? Do I want to roll around naked with this person? Do I want to kiss this person? Do I want to do this with this person? Do I want to tell them, don't look at this part of my body when you're over there? Please, can we turn off the lights? Or, what do you want? Now, you can't dictate that, but it's 50-50. Each person comes to the table with those interactions of either verbally or non-verbally communicating, this is what I want. And you work together and you figure out a way so that everyone wins. Instead of her orientation seems to be like, what if I screw it up? What if I look bad to them? That's not a recipe for success. Because one, you have to know what your energy is coming from, and two, your partner often wants you to be involved. They don't want you to be like, anxiously like not trying to screw things up. People want an equal partner that shows up to the table and says, yes, this is what I want to do.
It's going to be really terrible, and then I'm going to just go back to being celibate. I'm going to be like a little turtle going back in my shell.
Now, I want to say, I don't want to act like this is a simple thing that people can know what they want sexually as if that's just something anyone could just come up with on their own. If you have a lot of traumas, if you've been assaulted, if you've been denied even just basic opportunities to know who you are when you were young and know your needs, then it's going to be really hard to answer that question. And it might take a long time to get in touch with yourself, get in touch with your sexuality. I've worked with people where 5 years down the road, they look back and they say, they'll say, back then when I first came to you, I had no idea who I was sexually. I was just trying to please other people basically, and just trying to survive sex with other people. But now I'm in the driver's seat, and if I could go back to myself back then, I say, you're not doing it right. Like, you need to find your inner drive for sex, your inner libido, your inner perv in some ways, like, what do you want? When you grab sexuality, what is it that you want out of it? And it's not everyone is given that opportunity to develop that. And women in particular are told they're not supposed to do that. It's changing, and some women aren't given that message when they're young as girls, but many are. Girls are taught they're vessels, they're objects, they're supposed to please, they're just there to serve. And the question of who am I as a sexual person isn't encouraged for everyone, and particularly for girls, for developing, women. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.